Next, what I want to look, it is on a load and import object as we're going along. So you notice right here we have an arrow. It's meaning right click or left click. Depend on this, it will action perform differently. So we can left click load and right click will save the object. So let's go as example where right click and load it, and right here we have some library available to us. We can, same as before, from assets accessing just what we have it, or for example we can go and preload it already exist library. So for now I'm just going to see what we have it, and we'll just go select one of them like a turtle, and I just preload it. When you loaded object, position where the object is loaded can be defined inside the options, general purposes, and right here you can see where you can offset, load objects or other. As well, you have options to configure poser import, and we'll look in a second how to import or poser model. So we'll look on this. Right now let's just look on our model from the view. Depend on models, some can include additional properties, like right here you can see modified. Some of them may have it even bone structure if it's created for the animations inside the view. So right here we preloaded object. When we preload object, we can double time click to go to polygon mesh options, and we'll look on them before when we was working with the rocks. As an object, you will have it double-sided, single-sided. You will have a smooth mesh, and it's creating angle and smoothness. Sometimes if you create a model, you will notice maybe angle display like a very black color, and this problem will be with a smoothing angle. So you want to change the angle, or in some cases maybe even remove it. I found out on some import models this is work very good. We also have it mesh information where we have it number of vertex, polygons, and materials used. You can remove or weld them together. Some of this will increase, speed up a little bit process of the rendering. However, it will create less quality on a model. We also have it modifier, invert normals. Some object normals depend where they point inside or outside. If it does not work properly, you can try this. You also have it ability of smooth meshes. The type we're using is triangle, but you also can use it quads or dynamic assign. And you can use it non-smooth versions inside the preview. That will speed up a little bit of the preview render. Okay, we have it illumination baking for this, where we can bake in materials or geometry inside the object. You can increase quality or map accuracy. Map accuracy will increase size of the file that embedded, and the quality will increase amount of polygons. Overall, it will increase size or decrease. However, if you go very crazy on a quality boost, sometimes we may take very long time to bake and create it, this illumination bacon. So be careful what you're using and when. If you also use it double baking information, it will display and you can select it. In some cases I found out that I created meta blob rocks with a displacement. I do enable bake them together, so it will create one object based on displacement with polygons. So next time when I loading, it's loading a little bit faster and does not need to recalculate all this displacement in a view. So it will render faster as well because it does not need to do all these calculations. But problem with this, if you done that way, it is fixed geometry, so you cannot go back, you cannot change geometry on the meta blob. So it's kind of plus and minuses with this. But overall, right here is our properties. As well, when you're loading object, you'll notice right here we have it different materials assigned. Some of them you can browse through and it will says if it's single, or again you can open and edit material. Currently it will edit material that active. You can cycle through all of them as you're going along, or If you need it, you can always click and go to edit all materials. Beware, if you work on the colors, it will add all colors of all selected objects. So just be sure you select the properly material when you edit this way. When you animated almost any object, you can move around, preset, and add to timeline and animate it. You also can save animation of objects and load it after pre-animated. As an example, I was creating ventilator and save animation of propellers, and after next time I'm loading, this animation already was saved with a view object. So when I animated plane, the propellers was already after animated and looped. So just overall, you can save object inside the view with animation as well. So you can load it objects by clicking on an icon, or you can go to object load. You also have the ability to right click and save object. This way you will be prompt where you want to save, what format you want to save. Currently it's VOB. Compress file, incorporate texture. I do recommend you to enable incorporate texture. It's will putting them inside. However, as it's a VOB, it's okay to have a procedural texture. If you export the object as for different application, sometimes the text fractal or function-based textures not necessarily transfer correctly. Okay, we also have a name and title, and when you save it, it will create a preview render of the model as well. So let's go right now look on some importing from the poser as example. So the view have an import object, which you can select a different format of the object to import. So as example, let's load import object, and I'm going to use it poser format. So we'll select a Mac, and you notice right here you have a different type if all is supported. By default, it will show all supported format, but if you look for any specific, you can select it from the drop down menu. Notice also it's have collapse identical materials. That is only happen if the material is absolutely identical. If they even luminosity or one property is different, it won't collapse them. Okay, we also have an import options. That is a center import object, resize object if we need it, and if we needed to downsample texture map, we can apply it. I will leave it everything as default, so I won't modify this, and I go click open. When you open as a poser file, and this is example going with poser latest version, so it's okay, just let's click no on that. You will have this menu poser import options, which is prompt you to group figures as single mesh default. We also have a do not refresh mesh moving slide bar. I will re-enable because uncheck this. If model of the poser that I imported is animated, I want to see in my timeline. So by checking this, you will disable this. The next options by default will be checked, and you need to uncheck them if you want to use it. It's one says allow reposing and render materials using. Both of these options will take a lot of memory and CPU, and it will slow down quite a bit the system. However, if you think it's necessary for you to repose inside the view pose, so you can enable these, as well as using render materials poser shader tree. For me, I find out I modify most materials anyway inside the view, so I don't want to render materials, and I enable used correlation. They also bump conversion rate show in one. I found in a poser many times you actually want decrease bump conversion rate, otherwise it's become very strong bump. Animated mesh options. Currently I want just import single frame because it's not animated. If you have a pre-animated object, you want to be sure the animated entire pose animation is checked in. You also can select what frame you want to import. So let's go click OK. Okay, and you can see right here we have our mesh is in. You'll notice we have it offset on a point, and to fix our viewpoint we need enable, and we did this before. If you remember, you can check. In this case we can modify So we switch our anchor in this case. If we're going to rotate, this will go against this point. Same as put on the ground. So sometimes you need kind of view over on import models. Okay, so right here we have it our turtle native view model. We have it also a model we imported from the poser. We can scale it a bit up. Again, if we render, you'll notice bump map we may need rework. And again, as a poser model, for example, I noticed some materials maybe does not look very good, too shiny. So I go select edit all materials, and it's up to how you like it. And we'll go inside highlights, and I want to take highlights slightly down. Okay, as well, because we did a bump map 0.1 versus other one, so it's have a nice depth. However, sometimes you maybe want even decrease or set to the 0. It's up to testing, but overall I think this will work okay. Other problems sometimes notice it's maybe you want to go and work with a polygon mesh. It has a right here smooth angle. In some cases, uncheck will help the model come up a little bit better. But again, it's based on model based effect. Overall, it's straightforward. You can go ahead, open, import multiple models, rework the textures inside the view. If the pre-animated animation come, you can use different format of the object, light wave, 3D Max, all of them included all latest standards. And Vue 2015 also include new standards, open source, that are used by LucasArts and other ones for the import different models. If you have it version Vue Pioneer, the load import model won't be options won't be enabled there. You need purchase additional module to enable import and export models to the view.